Oh, hi, everybody, and welcome to another MACS Live Chat. My name is Steve Schaeber, and I'm the Manager of Service Training for MACS Worldwide, the Mobile Air Conditioning Society. Joining me today is Julian Hentze, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at GPD Global Parts Distributors in Macon, Georgia. GPD is a leading national brand of aftermarket air conditioning systems products with 6 locations across the U.S., servicing not just automotive and light trucks, but also heavy-duty vehicles as well. And they also have a wide variety of tech tips, product announcements, tools, videos, and more on their website, which I refer to often. And with that, Julian, welcome.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. As you can see, I have my COVID beard and my COVID haircut.
Yeah, me too. I actually was asked that yesterday. Somebody commented, "Hey, man, you need a haircut." And I'm like, "Yeah, but all the barbershops are closed." So.
That's exactly right. It's, I usually have a very short haircut, and I was supposed to have one just before all this broke out. And believe it or not, I have gel in my hair just to try and keep it in some sort of fashion.
Yeah, I tuck mine around the headset.
But we're not here for a fashion show, are we?
No. Actually, when I put this together, it's all based on your live webinar called Tech Tips for Better AC Service. You spent some time going over some of the most popular tech tips from your website. And I wanted to ask, which one of those tech tips do you refer to most often when you get calls from your customers? I guess, in other words, which topics do technicians have the most trouble with, or do you get the most questions about?
That's a really good question, my friend. We refer a lot to the replacement of condensers, especially at the parallel flow stuff. But that, thankfully, is not as common as it once was 5-10 years ago. But we're also finding that the VW Jetta one has been extremely popular because it's very hard to explain to somebody when they're on their third compressor. It's actually not the compressor that's the issue; it's the override. Somebody forgot to replace it at 100,000 service. So those sort of instances are what we're seeing a lot. Another one is the Nissan compressors where the electrical connection's right above the exhaust manifold. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but somebody did. So when you go to put your new connection together, you've got a brand new connection that's going into an old worn out one that's been a lot of heat added to it, and of course the electrical connection pops out the back, and installers get frustrated when they bought a brand new compressor, spend all that time fitting it, and it doesn't work. And we're finding new stuff every day. Thankfully we still own Auto Air of Macon, which is where we started, and they'll bring to our attention. A service manager, Derek, does a great job of bringing out to attention new stuff that's happening that they're on the front line seeing, that we're just blowing our mind. Thinking, how the hell did someone engineer that?
Wow, so you guys still run that shop over there. I thought that was just kind of merged into GPD and the shop had dissipated years ago.
No, sir. It's our best testing ground. All of our products are tested and quality assured before they leave factory, but there is no better place than having an installer and a service manager fitting your own parts and having a direct line to the president of the company.
How long ago did Auto Air start?
Back in 1972, it was started. Wow. We were started as a small 2-bay shop in pretty much heart of downtown Macon, and then it's grown. Now we've got a 5-bay shop on 247, and the guys there do a great job servicing vehicles in the local area. Wow,
that's cool. When did you start with GPD?
I started 10 years ago when I moved to the United States in 2008. I had actually met Davey Montford, the president, at a MACS convention and trade show that I'd come to, and he said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Perry." And he said, "Perry, Florida." And I said, "No, sir, Perry, Georgia." He said, "That's right down the road. You need to come and have a talk to me when you get back to the office." And I said, "Yes, sir." And there's history.
Wow. What were you doing in Australia? I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but
No, that's okay. No, I believe it or not, I know this is going to come as a huge shock to you, but I was doing air conditioning in Australia.
oh, right,
That's
yeah.
all I've ever done. I did a 4-year apprenticeship in Australia. To become a mechanic, you have to do a 4-year apprenticeship. So I did a 4-year apprenticeship, and within that 4-year apprenticeship, I moved into air conditioning, and well, it's grabbed a hold of me and hasn't let me go for the past 35 years.
Wow. So I'm also curious about some of the tools you offer, in particular your temp testing tool. And I have to say, on a personal note, when I really got started learning how to work on mobile AC systems, how to do diagnostics, how to test for what's happening inside of the lines and hoses, is when I really started learning how to use what I call the GPD Temp Tester Tool. So can you talk a little bit about it, how it works, and what it's designed to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's a shameless plug of one I found earlier.
Yeah.
So this was the brainchild of Mark Smits, who's actually on the board of MACS, and Henry. And they were concerned when they're seeing some of the diagnosis with gauges. You know, on some systems, it's so hard to diagnose because, you know, the high and low side adapters are right next to the orifice tube, and it just doesn't tell you what's going on in the system. And of course, you know, Mark was also very concerned about evaporators. So this has been a long time in the making. It's very, very simple to use. You just turn it on, select Fahrenheit or Celsius. I personally work Celsius, as you can imagine. And then the clamps here are touch clamps, but they're designed to go around a pipe. Nice and long and bendable, so they will fit into wherever and get around a grill or whatever. And that way, you know, you can really sit there and diagnose an evaporator, a condenser, if you're having issues, a heater, anything like that. But it just really is a simple tool. It just takes the input on the low side, the input on the high side, it subtracts it and gives you a temperature variance so you can figure out, you know, whether the item's working correctly or not.
The last time I used that tool was over last summer. I went down to help one of our member shops. The guy works at a gas station, and he was working on a Mercedes. The guy had put in a new compressor, a new condenser, a new dryer, a new expansion valve, a new liquid line. I mean, and got to the point where I don't know why this thing's not cooling right. And I said, well, I've come down, I'll give it a shot. I don't know what I'm going to really be able to, you know, I don't have a magic wand or anything.
Right.
But I brought my temp tester tool, and all I did was some temp testing. I went, you know, condenser in and out. I checked the discharge line in and out, liquid line in and out. And then as I went around the system, I checked the suction line. There was a peanut block next to the low side service port. And then I put it down by the compressor, and there was like a 40-degree temperature difference. And so I told him, I'm like, look, I can't see what's in there, but hose in, hose out, it should be the same, and it's not. Yep. So it was a big risk. He went with my gut, and it turned out the suction line collapsed, and it was causing a partial restriction.
Yeah, yeah.
You also have a compressor diagnostics tool, which I've used to create some training materials for the MACS annual update clinics and our best practice training classes. But I know it's been updated since the last model that I used. Can you talk about what it can do now?
Yeah, and it's going to be updated again, I'll be honest. Oh, look, here's another shameless plug. We actually, there's 2 new bags that are coming out very soon because the OE manufacturers keep changing the plugs on them, as is their want. But one of the things that we need to do is the later model Camrys, I believe, have a negative pulse to check whether it's talking correctly to the ECU rather than a positive. But yeah, so we are working on that at the moment to bring that up so you can use it on all the really, really late model stuff. It's still a great little tool. It still works fantastically. You can still power the compressor itself. You can read the voltage coming in from the ECU. You can command the compressor to full charge or full stroke or disstroke, and it's just priced reasonably. You have a lot of technicians that have the big scan tools, you know, hooked to the laptop and things like that, which are great. But sometimes, you know, you want something that's affordable that you can use, and what we're designed to do with the tools is try and make them as affordable as possible and as useful as possible. So, you know, Mark and Henry again have been working on this to try and update it all the time with Wayne's input, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, and that tool there, like you were saying about the laptop, is nice to be able to see what the factory ECM is seeing from the compressor. But if you have a problem with the vehicle's wiring system and it's not able to command the compressor, you can use that tool to command it directly and know that you're sending the signal straight to the compressor and then bypassing the vehicle system.
Correct, and that's the biggest problem. You know, we do have a tech tip that we've printed about these compressors, and it's basically divided into two. You know, is it an electrical issue or is it an air conditioning issue? And with this tool, you're able to make sure that it's an electrical issue, that the compressor is still running. Otherwise, you'll be up in the air saying, okay, it's an electrical issue, but is that compressor still operative? At least you'll have that answer.
Right, and save a lot of time in unnecessary compressor replacement.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of money.
And a lot of money, right. Also timely right now is the current coronavirus pandemic that we're all dealing with. And so I also wanted to ask you, as one of the largest MACS distributor members, how has the coronavirus impacted your business?
Yeah, Steve, coronavirus has been concerning for everybody, but how fast it happened was a shock, I believe. You know, here at GPD, what we tried to do was focus on our hourly employees so it didn't affect them as much as it could have. We've cut out all overtime. All management here have taken a significant pay reduction. We've got furloughs in place. So on that side, we've tried to make sure that our hourly guys have been taken care of. Now, we're still 100% operational. Our warehouse has been put into 3 shifts to try and mitigate, you know, social distancing and all that sort of stuff. In our front counter area where, you know, our customers can come and bring their compressor to help, you know, figure out what it is. You know, we've now had to block that area off, and when people come to the front door, we see them, we go out there, we take the part, we bring it in, just to make sure that they don't come into the office. And also cleaning, you know, seems that all we ever do around here is clean doorknobs and rest areas and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's a fair bit happening here. It really hit hard. I know that, you know, we're no one's special. It's hit everybody really hard, and I really feel for our members out there, especially the smaller ones, because, you know, they don't have a larger company that they can call on for cash and funds. You know, they're running a 2-3 day shop, and you know, if nobody's coming in, then, you know, that's their income that's stopped basically. But here, you know, we're trying to make the best of it. We're trying to do the social distancing and all that sort of stuff, and operate as well as we can.
Right. Has GPD had to furlough any of its employees?
Yes, we've had to. Pretty much anyone in the office staff and our regional sales managers have been furloughed 1 week a month. You know, at the moment, we're going to be doing that through June. So, you know, hopefully we'll all be back up and running by then.
Right. So what steps is GPD taking to protect your customers' health and safety? For example, like, you know, during drop off and pickup. And do you allow customers to pick up at your facility, or has that process changed at all?
That process has changed a lot. You know, we do have a pickup area at the back. We've actually roped that off, and now what they do is they come up basically to a blocked off area, and the warehouse staff see them go over, ask, you know, social distancing and all that good stuff, ask what they're here for, grab a trolley, put it on the trolley, and then hand it to the customer. That way, you know, we don't have to touch anything, and the customer doesn't have to touch anything. It's all nice and safe. Hand sanitizer. We have a good friend that works for a company that produces hand sanitizer. It's actually Olivia, who used to work with us. So we've been grateful there. All our delivery drivers in the local area have gloves and hand sanitizer and face masks and all that sort of stuff. And when they go to see a customer, you know, they drop it off, put it in the Bay Area and leave. There's no signing of any documents or anything like that. And try to keep our social distancing and do the right thing by, you know, our drivers and our customers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, about signing the ticket, because a lot of places around here, there's no more ticket signing.
No more ticket signing. The only thing that really we try to avoid all of that sort of stuff because you know, it's just another way it can be transmitted.
Right. Well, that's about all the time we have for right now. Julian, I'd like to thank you for hanging out with me today on this live chat and for all that you do for our industry and MACS member shops.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate being on here and talking directly with the members. And if you need any more information about us or you want any tech tips, just go to www.gpdtechtips.com.
And of course, we'd like to thank you for your continued membership with MACS. To find out all that your association has to offer, including our affinity programs designed to save your shop money, please visit our website at www.maxw.org. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Steve Schaeber, and we'll see you next time.